This layover fit brief NASA fatigue research study, I thought that is an incredible opportunity, and I'm really happy to be part of it. I'll go over a couple of things that I'm allowed to share with what the study entails, and also how I manage my nutrition and fitness and also circadian rhythm throughout this whole trip. You are now listening to The Jet Life Uncovered, an insightful podcast that explores the minds of those who've conquered to live a meaningful life in the air and on the ground. Whether you're a pilot, frequent flyer, or celebrity, we uncover the deep truths of what it's like to live life in and out of the jet. I'm your host, Fernando Contreras, airline pilot, personal trainer, and intervention coach. You're about to take off into a conversation with individuals in which we get to know their intersection between living a purposeful life and reaching peak performance. The Jet Life Uncovered podcast starts now. So let's get into the actual layover fit brief. This is a 4-day that started a couple days ago. And before that, I volunteered for a NASA fatigue research study for short haul pilots. Now, I got a lot of questions about how can we participate for this. I want to get in on it. The way I was able to get in with it is because my airline participates with it. NASA teamed up with United Airlines, Delta Airlines, and American Airlines, and one more airline, I can't remember at the top of my head, but their pilots can actually sign up and volunteer for this. And they give you a criteria in which your trip has to fall in. And if your trips meet that criteria for their research study, you get to participate in it. So this trip fell in that criteria. I tried for months to be able to get a trip to be able to fit in this, and finally did. So I was super excited. Everybody that I talked to within the NASA Ames Research Center and that is dedicated to this kind of study has been awesome, fantastic. They're super motivated about what they're doing and the science behind it, and everything that they're trying to research on is pretty rewarding because you can tell how passionate they are. And I'm also very passionate to provide volunteer work to be able to give these kind of information to the NASA Ames Research Center. So, they started tracking my stuff on my days off and then started to track my stuff on the days on. Now, I can't really share how much info I can give, one, because of data security, and two, just the amount of stuff that I can and cannot say. But it obviously, if it's a research study, there's tracking involved, whether it be with a watch or, with some other smartphone thing. There is some of that stuff that's being tracked, and mainly of kind of like you logging things, right? Kind of logging if you ate, what time you ate, your sleep, things like that. And it's pretty cool. So the first day started off with 3 legs. And the first turn, which was to Managua in Nicaragua, first time going there, absolutely beautiful, loved it. It was really great. On the way back, the third leg was to New Orleans. Now, since I had a international turn as my first 2 flights of this sequence, and now I'm starting to think, okay, meal prepping, what am I going to take? So I did have some pork tenderloin left over that I wanted to take with me, and I should, because if I left it, it would go bad. But I also had some salmon. I also had some chicken. But I was basically on my days off doing a lot of DIY things here in the house, and my lovely lady Jess actually made this amazing meal prep for me, which was already some of that leftover pork loin. She made some chicken, a Greek salad, her Greek salads are freaking amazing. I love them. And just a couple other snacks, some avocados that I was able to take with me, a banana and such and such. Well, I put all that stuff in, and I knew I had to eat the pork tenderloin before I got back to Miami. So I brought enough 2 servings, one for the way there to eat, and then one for the way back. And that got rid of my pork, because as you know, you can't come into the United States with pork. They will take it away. So if you do want to reference that, I do have a podcast with a CBP, agricultural specialist, where if you want more information on what you can and cannot bring, you should check that out. It's, I think, episode 22 or 23. You'll see it right there with the title. Can't miss it. So Nicaragua was beautiful. I got some coffee on the way back. The captain that I was paired with was really great. We had a great time. And I was kind of bummed because we were supposed to fly the whole trip together, and before he even got to the airport, his whole schedule was split, but mine stayed the way it was. So I actually went through 3 captains this entire trip. Then we had a little bit of a sit, about an hour and 45 minutes, and then we went over to New Orleans. Again, I had another one of my meal preps. This time I had quinoa with me. So I had a quinoa chicken bowl, and on another bag, I had some cooked vegetables. Right there were some bell peppers, some mushrooms, and I think it was some zucchini in there. Really fantastic. Every single captain's like, whoa, man, what you got there? Like, that smells really good. That looks very tasty. Jess, you did a great job. Thank you. But it's all the time. So you could just tell that home-cooked meals are just bring in like a good fresh smell, and it looks good. It looks tasty. It's not what if you're eating out all the time at the airport or eating the airplane food, that stuff can kind of get like, it's not from home, and you can just totally feel that. The flight there was awesome. I had great energy throughout the whole time, thanks to that kind of nutrition. Right. I didn't work out that day because I planned to have that day off since I was flying 3 legs that day. I didn't want to overwork or overtrain my body. So we got into New Orleans around 10 o'clock. It was a short layover, 13 hours. And I just wanted to take a shower, go to bed, and then wake up early the next day to do a nice workout in the morning before we left. That next day was only 2 legs from New Orleans to Chicago and Chicago to Las Vegas. Woke up early in the morning, had my nice cup of coffee. I went to the gym fasted, and I'm starting to kind of get into that rhythm again of going fasted because my phase of training right now is not putting up very heavy weight. It's actually more on the muscular endurance side. So I'm actually doing repetition ranges anywhere from 12 to 15. So that being said, with what I ate the night before, it was sufficient for me to push through a workout like that in the morning. And after that, I went ahead and had my lunch for my breakfast, and it turned out really nice. What I decided to do now is, you guys have, if you follow me on social media, from some previous podcasts, you've heard that I've had some lumbar issues lately, maybe within the past, I think it's been like a year. And, as a couple months go by, it starts to get more concerning because the pain is it's not in specifically my lumbar area. It actually transitions through this muscle called the psoas. And this muscle called the psoas actually transitions from like the lateral side of it connects to your lower back, but it kind of transitions over to where your hip is, and it kind of goes over your hip and down to where like your inguinal and all these muscles connect, coming up from the quad, coming up from the adductors, coming up from the hip flexors. And it's all bunched up there, right? So that kind of pain is transitioning between forward and back, and I just don't know where it is. I've been working with a physical therapist, Lewis, and he's from the Pro Rehab Solutions, and it's an absolute awesome time working with Lewis. We've been trying to get my hip back into this placement where we think that there's an asymmetry of muscles being pulled in a certain direction, and that's what's causing the uncomfort, the pain, the muscular imbalance. So, after working with him, I did feel some alleviation, but I wanted to kind of know a little bit more. So I went through some doctors through my primary, and then they referred me over to an orthopedic. And with that, I went to him, and we took x-rays, we took MRIs, CT scans. We can actually see that between my L5 and S1, there's a little bit of a slide, and the disc in between that one is actually a little bit worn out, which, talking with some other personal trainers and some other physical therapists and everything, it's not that abnormal, right? It's kind of common to see those things, especially if you have bad sitting posture. But this probably didn't come from bad sitting posture. This might have come from like either when I was younger and playing sports, I might have gotten hit pretty bad or something like that. It's some sort of traumatic event that may have caused this. The other thing that I'm thinking is that maybe 2 years ago, I was kind of deadlifting, and I might have been deadlifting a little bit wrong, kind of using not so much of my glutes, but a little bit too much of my core to initially get the bar up. And I think that that's what may have kind of tucked my hip a little bit in and slowly start kind of like pushing the hips that way more towards the front of the body. So having an anterior tilt, I think. Now I can't even think of that. But anyways, your hips are going more towards the front. So That's not too good if it's going too much towards the front. You don't want your hips to be sticking out too much towards the back either. You want to have that neutral spot. So that being said, I started to implement leg exercises every single day on my layovers. When I'm on my off days, I only hit it up once every 2 days, because I hit it up more on a little bit on the heavier side, and the whole workout is legs. On these layovers, I'm actually doing 2 leg workouts mixed in with some upper body workouts as well, whether I be splitting it with between chest and backs and legs, or I'll be doing it with arms, shoulders, and legs as well. And that's pretty much what I did for this trip. Now, fun fact here real quick from my primary doctor, I did learn something cool. Vitamin D3 is actually, it really helps to moisturize, I guess, the what's in between your vertebrae, your discs, okay? It actually helps with that. So I was actually already taking vitamin D3 and in the multi-phyto for the Designs for Sports. There's a good amount of D3 in there as well. But also, it's very important that your vitamin D3 is also paired with vitamin K, which if you look in the back right here, it is paired up with it. So if you just take vitamin D3 and it's not paired with vitamin K, the absorption and the processing of it is going to be a little bit different. So this is the kind of cool research that is with also Designs for Sports. It's research that is out there, but just so that you know as well, if you're going to do vitamin D3, it's good to have it with vitamin K as well. But anyways, that helps moisturize your discs, which is something cool I didn't know. So, I've been doing a pretty good job with that already by having taken those supplements. So let's get back to the workout in New Orleans. New Orleans gym, it was decent. It was kind of like in the 25th floor or whatever, and you can kind of see like the downtown area or whatever, but it was kind of like in a semi-spherical or semi-circle design, and it was pretty good. I had some dumbbells, I had some cables, some cable machines and stuff like that. So I pretty much did some dumbbell squats mixed in with, let's see, that day I did chest and back. So dumbbell bench presses, dumbbell rows, things like that I did for that workout. It didn't take me that much. It was about maybe an hour, and then got back up to the room, ate lunch. Again, I actually had some boiled eggs that Jess also made for me, and that's what I had. I also had pita bread with hummus, which that was really good too. And I kind of like to cut the egg and put it on top of the pita bread with the hummus. And then, if I have a little bit of salt and pepper, I kind of put that on top. And then my protein shake, okay, with the Designs for Sport whey protein. So that's what I had for lunch. Then went down, met the captain. Well, actually, yeah, we had a new captain the last flight. So the overnight flight from yesterday, it was a new captain for me as well. This morning, it was the same captain, really great guy, awesome. And we headed to Chicago, where nice and easy flight. We got there and we had about a 2-hour sit. We're walking around, getting some coffee, doing our thing. I'm just trying to stay moving. And the plane was a little late. So now we're looking at a 2-hour plus sit, and I don't want to be sitting down for that long. So, I told the captain, hey, I'm going to set my things in. I did all my pre-flight stuff. And for some reason, I think I can't remember if it was either like maintenance, we were waiting for the logbook or something, but it was going to be a little bit, so they held boarding. So I went and started walking around again. Everything was done. My walk around of the actual airplane was done. I did all my pre-flight stuff. That was done. Flight plan loaded, FMS, everything was all complete. I said, hey, Cap, I'm gonna go walk around a little bit more until I hear that they're gonna start boarding. So I did. I started walking around and walked around, and by the time I got back, they had just started their boarding. So it was perfect. I got a couple extra steps in, and you don't know how much of a difference that makes. Keep your body moving, and you'll see how everything just stays lubricated. Your central and peripheral nervous system continue to stay active. Your focus, your mind, your breathing, your hormone release is just not much different as opposed to if you were to be sedentary. Now, I know for cabin crew, it's a little bit different. They have to actually be there for when the actual boarding starts. So, it's very easy to just sit in one of those seats, right? And I can't say this because that's not my position working back there. But, if I were to be in that, and sometimes when I do and I can't go out of the jet bridge, I'll start walking the plane back and forth. I don't care. I'm just going up and down the aisle. Sometimes I'll do it in the jet bridge, Nobody's really there, so you're not getting in anybody's way. So maybe that's another option, an idea you could do. You can also reach out to a lot of people on Instagram, and they're more than happy to share what they do on those long sits. I know my girlfriend Jess does just that. She walks around, does things in the galley. She doesn't stop moving, and it really helps with just not staying sedentary. Anyways, we finally get everybody on board from Chicago to go to Las Vegas. It's a 4-hour flight. We actually had a jump seater, super cool dude that was jump seating on our flight. He looked like he was like 32, but when he told me he was like 42, I was like, what? That's crazy. I didn't really ask him, but I'm pretty sure he, did some sort of exercising and things like that. So because you could just tell he just looked a whole lot younger. And I get a lot of times that people say, "Oh, how old are you?" And I tell them, I'm 31. And they're like, "No way, I thought you might have been 26, 27." And that's really great. Awesome, but it's more of the fact of how this exercising, the physical results show like as if you were younger, but how do you I truly feel like if I was like 25, 26, maybe I can't party like how I used to in the mornings. In the mornings it gets a little rough, but everything else wise, like sports wise, athletic wise, energy wise, doing things like working around and doing all that, I do feel younger. I don't feel like I'm getting older in that sense. Now, there was a point where I was feeling that way and I was overtraining. I did feel like I was getting older. My joints were hurting. I was always sore. I was always in some sort of pain because I was overtraining. Now, when you do the gym too much, that's what happens. And that is a sign. If you start feeling too much, if you feel like your workouts are like just absolutely destroying you, you might be doing a little bit too much, right? Or you may not be eating enough, or you may not be sleeping enough. So all of that is part of overtraining and undertraining. Well, not undertraining. Undertraining is just basically not doing enough. So anyway, we get to Las Vegas. All right, my crew is all split up. Flight attendants, captain go to one hotel. I go to another one. So I'm in Vegas by myself. I've been there a million times, so like I'm not really excited to do that much, but there's actually so many things happening in Las Vegas. I mean, at least this year. The Knights just won the Stanley Hockey, NHL final, which, damn, but Florida Panthers, let's go, baby. Yeah, so they just won it. That was crazy. They got so many sports teams coming to Las Vegas now. They're building the largest infrastructure of a concert arena, which is a sphere that spins as concerts and things in there happen. It's also going to be full with like a million LEDs that you can probably see from like, Top of Descent or something like that. And it's just absolute ton of money, not to mention Formula One is going to be there this year. And the construction around the whole area of downtown Las Vegas, like the Strip and everything, just even to get to our hotel, is madness. All right. It's crazy. I was talking to some people that were working on the actual, making of the track. I would have to fact check this, but they said that they're projecting to have $1.6 billion this first year from sales and what Formula One would bring to just that event for that time. That's an absurd amount of money, I think, for an event that big. So I don't know. I'm not into like all that business, so I don't know if billions or millions makes a difference in that kind of, I mean, it obviously does, but I don't know if it's far-fetched that it's in the billions or if that's something that it should be bringing in. Compared to Miami, I don't really know. I know prices, they were saying like some hotel rooms might even be like $10,000. I don't know for one night or 3 nights, but it's going to be crazy. I think that race is going to be awesome. I'm really going to bid Las Vegas layover the whole month of, I think they're going in November. I think that's when the race is going to be. Anyways, that month, I'm going to bid Las Vegas to hopefully get something and see. Obviously, I don't even know if where we're going to stay is going to be anywhere remote close to it, but you never know. You never know. Anyway, so I'm like, well, I don't want to just stay in the room by myself. It's like 7 p.m. at night. You're in Vegas. I'm not just going to stay in here. I'm going to go out and explore and just walk around and see what the construction's looking like, right? I actually got to walk around and see the paddock being built, which that was pretty cool. They let me see it off from one side, and after a couple of minutes, maybe like half an hour of walking, I'm passing this gas station, and I hear these gentlemen just start going like, "Hey, yo," they're just trying to get my attention, right? Hey, yo, can you take a photo of us? And I said, and I heard, but I didn't want to turn around. And then something inside me just said, just turn around. They just want a photo. So I turned around. And they're like, hey, can you take a photo of us here? And it was just like a corner of an intersection. And I was like, yeah, sure. Like, and I mean, I didn't sound anything of like, why would you want a picture in the corner of an intersection? But he immediately said, do you know what happened here? And I was like, no, I have no idea. He's like, you know who Tupac is? And I'm like, are you kidding me, bro? Like, of course I know who Tupac is. Come on, man. Um, so yeah, he was like, yeah, he was shot here. And I was like, nah, really? He's like, yeah, this is the corner of Flamingo and Koval. And I'm like, wow, fuck, that's crazy. Like, I mean, I am a big enthusiast of rap music history. I do have a big interest in knowing why things happen, why groups formed and then were later not, people weren't part of the group anymore, what happened within those groups in the West Coast, East Coast. I'm a huge fan of that. I actually love watching interviews on some of these rappers, and when they talk about those things, I really like it. So yeah, I obviously know who Tupac is. I obviously listen to his music, and I obviously do know the history, and not every single little piece, but I do know. I know who was in that car that night with him and all that stuff. So it was a little bit unbelievable. And now, and then I was like, well, let me just see if this is true. So I kept on walking after I took their photo, and I researched it, and yeah, effectively it was true. So then I went back around. I did kind of like a loop, and I came back to the intersection, and there's workers that are kind of directing traffic of people crossing the street because there's so many things going on. That I asked the lady, I was like, hey, is it true that here it is where Tupac got shot? And she's like, no, yeah, absolutely. It was right here. They were going in this direction. And if you go to that pole right there, you can actually see that that's exactly where it happened. And you go to this pole that's across the street from that, like where they took the photo, you had to cross the street, and there was that pole. Everybody has signed it. There's been like so many things signing about like, Tupac and stuff and things like that. I thought that was kind of crazy. I didn't even remember that had happened there. Nor would I ever check to be like, oh, let's see in Las Vegas. Oh yeah, we got to go to the Tupac memorial thing. I told some people about it. People are like, no, that's a lie, man. He's still alive. I'm like, dude, I honestly don't know. I don't know, honestly. And it doesn't really matter. It's not gonna, whether it's true or not, or whatever it is, the music he created and everything he stood for and all these things, it's for me, learning about that history is what I'm intrigued by. I wouldn't really know if I stand on the side where he's still alive or he's not. So anyways, I thought that was pretty cool. Part of these things about going out and exploring, even if you're on your own, on the positive sides, is that, always while being careful, you get shown up to these things that it's just like, oh, wow, that's cool. You have experiences that you wouldn't have had if you stayed in your room or if you stayed in the hotel lobby. So obviously, depending on where you are and what your layover is, being careful. It's going out to explore is you never know what positive thing you're gonna be encountering. You could obviously also encounter negative things, but if you're gonna live in fear like that, then there's really no point in living life like that. If you're always gonna be fearful of what's gonna happen. I go out on these layovers like in Guatemala and Mexico City and all these things. Obviously, I am as careful as I can be, but it's not that it's stopping me because everybody says Mexico City is dangerous. Absolutely, Mexico City is dangerous. But, it kind of like, are you going alone? Who are you going with? You know the procedure. I'm not here to tell you like what the safe procedures are to go out on your layover. But what I'm saying is that there's things to explore out there. And that's one of the greatest things about our job in our profession is to be able to do that. And I love it when crews tag along, right? That's really, really nice. If I have to go out by myself, whatever, it's still an experience, and I experience things by myself. I'm not shy, and I talk to whoever, and I meet whoever, and you never know who you can make friends with or network connections with or anything. So it was pretty cool. The next thing is I kept walking around. I checked out some more things, and I was like, all right, it's time for me to go to bed now, because obviously we have a 3-hour difference, and I need to work a Redeye the following night. So my game plan was to go to bed somewhat around, 11 o'clock local time, which would put me 12, 1, 2 a.m. my time. Okay, so I'm already into almost hitting my window of circadian low on my Eastern home time. And try to sleep in, not oversleep, just about get 7 or 8 hours in, and probably wake up around like 7 or 8. Well, I ended up sleeping a tiny little bit less than I wanted to. I think I woke up around like 6:30. The sun there is just absolutely, there's no such thing as blackout, because the sun goes right through that blackout. So it was almost pointless. But it was a little shorter than expected. So my game plan was, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to go fast, and I'm going to go for a 5K run. All right. Nice and easy, light pace, not too fast. I'm not going for time here. So that's what I did. It was a beautiful day to go. Surprisingly, it wasn't even hot. It was like 78 degrees. The air was nice and thin. It was breezy. It was awesome. Okay, great day to go for a run. After that 5K, going to run around the strip, came back, had again my breakfasts that I've been having for this whole trip, which was, again, pita bread with some hummus and the boiled eggs, and then just putting on top a little bit of salt and pepper. Good to go, along with my protein shake. After that, I headed over to the pool and just hung out, read my book, and I went upstairs to go get my lunch now. I'm starting to run out of meal prep, which is perfectly fine, because I always leave it for the last meal on the leg back to my home base. So what I'm trying to do at this time is match up my circadian rhythm to back at home. So I'm about to hit my second window of circadian low, which for me is about from like 3 to 5 p.m. And, I feel it when I start to get a little bit tired. Obviously, I mitigate that with caffeine on the time that I'm busy or that I'm flying, and it's not so much that it's so significant that I feel it, but I know it's there. And if I have the opportunity to take a nap, I will, even though I'm not a nap taker, but it's recommended that you do. So for this specific reason, I decided to, if I'm going to start feeling, my second window of circadian low right around 3 p.m. my time, then at noon in Las Vegas time is when I'm going to start trying to take a nap. Well, obviously, I was not tired by noon, but I did feel it a little bit, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna kind of go upstairs, wind down, close all the blinds, close all the blackouts, and try to just chill until you fall asleep. And I started doing that around 1. So I hung out at the pool for a while. Around 1 p.m., I kind of fell asleep, and it was a very light sleep for about 2 hours, which it's good, recommended that you don't sleep any more than that, and specifically more on my circadian low. So what they recommend for us during our fatigue management risk management classes is that you don't try to stay up late on the day that you get there, so that you could sleep a lot the next morning, and then try to sleep a lot again before your flight. The reason being you don't want to sleep a lot before your flight is because, and again, this is for everybody is different, I know it works for some people, is sleep inertia, right? So you're going to wake up with that groggy feeling after having slept pretty much all day, thinking that you're going to be well rested. Now, for some people that might work. I know for sure that wasn't going to work for me. What they do suggest is that you take a 2-hour nap close to your van time, nothing more than that, so you avoid sleep inertia. And then you go on about your thing. So what I decided to do is just to match that 2-hour nap closer to my circadian window of circadian low. Now, my next plan after that was to actually have a strength training workout very light. Obviously, I'm not going to be pushing a lot of weight or anything because I have to fly all night. So, but just enough to get my energy going. And I decided to do this at a time where I would push through my window of circadian low back in Eastern time. So that around 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. was perfect because I worked out around, let me see, like 7:30 or 8 so of Las Vegas time, meaning 11 o'clock, 12 midnight of Eastern time. And so with that energy that I got, obviously eating well throughout the day and that energy of that workout, I breezed through that window of circadian low that I would have felt in my Eastern time. And got the pickup, got a nice cup of coffee. I did run, so I had planned to have my meal prep for the last leg. And unfortunately, the fridge didn't close correctly or something happened that the fridge didn't cool and my food kind of went bad. So I had to improvise and get something late at night at the airport, which ended up being a sub place because it was like one of the only things open. We got picked up at around 9:45 p.m. and the departure was 11:15 p.m. So now I'm a little bit past my window of circadian low. Got a nice cup of coffee and got the sub, and I felt really, really great throughout the whole entire flight. Situational awareness was up. I didn't really need to use so many fatigue mitigation, like trying to start a conversation or trying to, do things to keep me up. I felt really good, especially with having eaten the way I ate all these days before, having worked out at those specific times. And then unfortunately, like if I would have had my own meal prep, it would have been even better. But, I had to have a sub and you got to eat. Now, you've heard me mention before that you shouldn't eat. Not that you shouldn't, but it's recommended that you don't eat when it's nighttime because you're kind of confusing your cellular circadian rhythm with your hormonal circadian rhythm, right? Your body knows that by night, melatonin is supposed to be secreting and you're not really supposed to be eating. And so your metabolism and your hormones and everything gets thrown off balance. But you do have to, like I said, this is my first time that I work at Redeye. You have to eat. Like there's no way you could, at least for me, go throughout the whole night without eating. Like just absolutely not, right? And especially coffee intake, right? You don't want to be intaking coffee while it's nighttime. Well, again, everybody's body is different. So for me, I know what works really well for me. But I could kind of see this as if I did these red eyes so often, I don't know if I want to be eating so much at the nighttime or drinking so much caffeine at the nighttime. And it's not so much, it was a regular amount of caffeine, but to be, confusing my body that often. And that's one of the things that I think about when I, if I'm going to bid the wide body to be doing those kinds of flights, it's something that I probably will consider. I remember I did a podcast with Captain Tom and he had some great ideas, some great things that he shared with us here in the podcast. And, those are great things to be able to take within that. He's got over 30 years experience, and a lot of it has been on the wide body. So it's really good. He's in fantastic, absolutely great shape. So I definitely take the recommendations he says. And so the main point of how I handled this red eye, aside from the good nutrition, my own meal prep, I had quinoa, chicken, pork. I had also a couple fruits here and there. I had pita bread with hummus and a little bit of salt and pepper. And that is one of the biggest and key, you hear me say it all the time, it's one of the key things to get you through your day and provide the necessary energy. Energy can be consumed in whatever food. It's just the quality that you're getting is greatly going to dictate your level of situation awareness and energy. And also with the supplementation, it helps a ton. Along with the protein and all the the vitamins and the multivitamins and the minerals and everything, it's a great overall, accumulation of things that get in line to give you great energy. Mix that along with some exercise, not overtraining, just doing enough to get you, feeling good, moving, and not being sedentary is also great in balance along with your nutrition. Obviously, your sleep, that's going to affect your sleep as well. You always hear me talk about that. But more specifically for this Redeye, it was mainly about configuring my body to my Eastern time and pushing through those windows of circadian low at night and taking advantage of it in the middle of the day. So your second window of circadian low, we'll review this again, is for me at least 3 p.m. to 5 p.m., which was 12 noon Las Vegas time, and that's when I decided to take a nap around 1 p.m. Then wake up, then have a good meal, do some more things that are not too high in activity. I read some more of my book. I walked around for a little bit, and then I hit a workout, which was nice and light, get me through my first window of circadian low, which is 2 to 4 a.m., and then that's what's able to give me good energy and push me through that red eye. So if you do red eyes a lot, or if you haven't, try that out. See if that works. Even if it's different than what you normally do, and if you think you got a great thing going with what you do, it never hurts to try. Like next time, I will try to see something different to see if it even works any better, or if I'm going to be like, hell no, I'm not doing this ever again, right? So it could have also been that since this is my first one, I reacted to it pretty well. But me knowing myself, I'm a very morning person. So I know that for me, trying to change things around where I'm kind of like sleeping too much or something like that in odd parts of the day, I know will mess me up. So I didn't really feel any sign of fatigue or anything like that until I got home. At home, I was like, "Oh wow, yeah, I feel like ass. I'm gonna go to sleep." And it wasn't so much that I felt bad. It was just so much that it was just like if I felt like if I was out in South Beach or Miami Beach all night, and I got we left the club or the bar at sunrise and got home. Except for you don't have this music blasting, ear ringing at the morning. So that's kind of what it felt like. And I was just like, yeah, I really used to like not mind that when I was younger, but now I don't like my morning routine to be messed up. And that was one of the only things that I was just like, I don't want to sleep too much because morning is where I'm most productive. And obviously, if you're getting in at 7 a.m. on a flight, you are going to get home pretty tired and you're going to go to sleep for a certain amount of time. Well, the cool thing was, and what I wasn't expecting, is that I slept until maybe I got home like around 8. I slept until 1:30 p.m. And I woke up getting ready. Like I could go crush a workout. I could go play sports. I could go do anything. I felt really good. I was actually surprised. So, we'll see if next time that I do a Redeye, it's going to be the same. But who knows? We'll see until then. I hope that some of this information could be beneficial to you. I guess with NASA too, they'll see what patterns I had and everything. So they're obviously going to take that into consideration of their research study. But I mainly used the techniques that we were provided in our fatigue risk management classes that we have to do every couple months. So those really helped. I think they were great. And again, like I said, along with the fitness and the sleeping and the nutrition is what gave me such great energy. The next day after that, I felt really well. And today I feel really well too. So I got a 3-day trip starting tomorrow, and it's going to be good. I actually finished meal prepping now, so it should be pretty good. I love that you guys have been supporting me so much. I greatly appreciate that. It's allowed the podcast to grow, the social media to grow, the website to grow. We're talking about Designs for Sport. A new addition that I have to the website is on the supplement section. If you go to fitaviatorsclub.com, you go to the supplement section. There you will find the link to the Designs for Sport and also the code that you can use, FITAV10, for a 10% discount. But like I mentioned before, the goal is not just to be selling supplements, it's to get you the right supplement that is going to give you the most benefit. So, I put in there also, there's a tab that you can click to either have an email with me or a consultation call with me where, we talk about what could be the best supplement for you. And, we go through all these questions and all these things to get to know you more in nutrition and fitness a little bit better. And ultimately get you something that you want more of, like, for example, energy, or if you are lacking some things with omega-3s or things like that. It's important to know where you can be supplementing, where it can give you the most benefit. So that's all on the Fit Aviators Club website as well. Check that out. You can also check out the podcast there and other sponsors. Thank you to Garmin. Thank you to Airfare Snacks, also BJ Clean. It's been really awesome working with these companies, and I don't team up with anyone who's just there to just be there. It's companies that I truly find have a really great value that can provide for you, the listeners, and also for you that are on social media. So again, thank you everybody so much for listening, for supporting. I hope you took some great stuff from this Layover Fit Brief episode. It's a little longer than usual, but I had a lot to say, and it's also been a while since I put up a podcast. So thanks again, and enjoy your day.